When did someone blame you for something physically impossible? My grandmother's funeral should have been a peaceful farewell, but nobody counted on Aunt Caroline turning it into a crime scene investigation. Caroline had married my Uncle Hector 20 years ago and spent most of their marriage finding sinister plots everywhere, from postal workers reading her mail to neighbors training squirrels to steal from her bird feeder, and even though Hector passed away 5 years ago, she remained part of our family gatherings where her paranoia only intensified. She once called the police because the grocery store's self-checkout was recording credit card information for identity theft, and tried to pay an exact change that she had microwaved to kill tracking devices. Now here we were at the funeral home, gathering to say goodbye to Grandma, when halfway through the rosary, the beads suddenly exploded across the floor, like someone had fired a pearl shotgun. The funeral director rushed to collect the scattered beads while family members dropped to their knees, but Caroline stood frozen before whipping around to point at me with a dramatic flair of a telenovela villain discovering her husband's secret family. "You!" she shrieked, her finger trembling with rage. "Your hostile energy field just assaulted my mother-in-law's spirit." My cheeks burned as every head in the room turned to stare at me. She stepped closer, eyes wild with conviction. "I've been watching you all day with your aggressive breathing and your disrespectful footsteps, and the way you signed that guest book like you were autographing a baseball instead of honoring the dead." Her voice rose to near hysteria. "You've been radiating pure hatred since you walked in here, and now Grandma's rosary couldn't take it anymore and exploded as a sign from heaven that you need to get out." She grabbed my cousin's arm as a witness. "Did you see how she walked past the casket? Like she was stomping through a nightclub instead of a sacred space." The sheer vibrations from her hostile aura probably registered on the Richter scale. My entire body went rigid with shock while my brain tried to process how breaking a rosary with my mind was even supposed to work. When I finally tried to respond, she cut me off. "Don't you dare speak. Your voice carries dark frequencies that disturb the deceased." The viewing room erupted into chaos as 50 relatives tried to process what they'd just witnessed while scrambling for rosary beads. My cousin was filming everything while pretending to search under chairs. One uncle took a massive pull from his flask, muttering about needing hazard pay for family events. My mother shot me a look that promised death if I laughed, and some cousin's new girlfriend whispered to him asking if this was normal. Caroline stalked me around the room like a prosecutor presenting evidence, narrating my crimes to anyone within earshot, including standing too close to flowers and blinking disrespectfully at Grandma's photos, while I kept my face carefully neutral, despite feeling like I'd stepped into an alternate dimension where breathing was illegal. The elderly priest looked like he was reconsidering his vocation, while Caroline explained how my spiritual terrorism had weaponized the very air molecules in the room. Rather than letting it go, Caroline cornered the funeral director and demanded he create an official incident report for the police and Vatican because I had committed supernatural assault. She called an emergency family meeting in the side room, where she presented a handwritten list of my crimes throughout the day, insisting this was clearly premeditated spiritual violence that required immediate law enforcement intervention. She even suggested calling a hazmat team to cleanse my toxic energy from the building before it damaged more religious artifacts or disturbed other corpses in the facility. The funeral director, maintaining remarkable composure, agreed to review security footage, while Caroline interrupted constantly to point out additional evidence like how I had walked past Grandma's photo display without genuflecting. He asked standard questions about whether I had touched anything, while Caroline shouted that my very presence was assault, demanding he use special equipment to measure the hostile frequencies emanating from my body. She insisted the footage would show a visible dark aura surrounding me like a demonic force field, and asked if he had thermal cameras. He gathered everyone to explain that old rosaries commonly break from worn strings, but Caroline immediately accused him of covering up supernatural crimes and demanded FBI involvement. The security footage from early that morning showed Caroline entering alone and spending 12 minutes trying to steal Grandma's $20,000 diamond earrings with jewelry pliers, accidentally snapping the rosary in her frustrated yanking before fleeing at the sound of footsteps. The cubic zirconia replacements in her purse matched the fake diamonds she'd worn to Christmas dinner, and suddenly we all understood why Grandma had always refused to remove her earrings during Caroline's visits, even for swimming. Caroline got banned from the funeral home and excluded from any inheritance, which prompted her to shout that Grandma's ghost had given her permission to take the earrings in a dream. The real kicker came when Grandma's lawyer revealed she'd left Caroline a note. "I know what you've been planning. Enjoy the cubic zirconia I had made to match my earrings. The real ones are in my safety deposit box."